Deathstroke, Talia al Ghul, and Prometheus. You know what they all have in common? They were all villains this year. And, well, maybe not necessarily just villains. On Arrow, Season 5, The Redemption Arc. Welcome to the heart of the stories we tell. My name is Rob, and tonight I will be reviewing Arrow Season in Review. And at the beginning of the season I asked if they failed this show. During the mid-season review I said they didn't. And they totally held up their, hey, wait a minute, who the hell is Vigilante? Seriously, did they leave that hanging? Hell, I think that secret identity is more of a cliffhanger than any cliffhanger the season finale had. Okay, so if you've been following my other reviews of Flash, Supergirl, and even a little ways back, Legends of Tomorrow, you'll know that I'm doing a big episode at the end of this where I'm going to talk about the Berlantiverse overall. So this isn't going to talk about the general Berlantiverse things that I think are good and bad. This is just going to be Arrow specific. So let's throw this up there one more time in case you haven't seen the season. Why are you watching this if you haven't seen the season yet? So once again, it's stop. Spoiler time. Meet Adrian Chase. He's the antagonist for the season. Basically, he's got some daddy issues because Oliver Queen killed his father, and he wants to get revenge. He's the comic book character Prometheus, but the real screwy part is, in the comic books, Adrian Chase is this guy, Vigilante. They used that to throw us off. Now, early in the season, I asked this question, did the show fail? And no, it really didn't, and it really came back hard, especially in the second half of the season, with some amazing episodes, and Deathstroke alone was worth it. Now, I had given it a silver rating up until now, but I think at the end of the final, I'm upgrading it all the way to Electrum with the other Berlantiverse shows. Now, as I've said in other videos, I'm going to be covering the Berlantiverse in an upcoming video. I think it might be this Sunday, maybe it'll be the Sunday after, depending on how the recordings go. But in general, we're going to just talk about Arrow stuff here. And I guess that means Captain Boomerang's death. Or, well, you know, no body, so can't really count anyone as dead in a comic book without a body. But Boomerang and Talia were still on the island with no way off, and the explosions hit. Now, yeah, I mean, technically that's everyone, but, well, you know they're not killing everyone. Boomerang, Merlin, and Talia, at least, we can pretty easily assume, unless we hear otherwise, they're gone. Deathstroke, on the other hand, definitely going to be coming back. The rest of Team Arrow, almost definitely coming back, especially with the fact that they said the actress playing Black Canary is back as a full-time member of the cast this year. So, silent moment for our good old Boomerang. Okay, that's enough. So the Black Canary thing is a little bit contentious. Is this new character worthy of being Black Canary? Well, there's a lot of people that think that Laurel got treated a little too unfairly. And personally, I still see Sarah as being the Black Canary. But Black Canary is one of my favorite characters, and we do have the actress that plays Laurel now getting to play Black Siren. The whole point of the Canary fight was for Quentin to say, hey, we're going to pass the mantle on to Dinah. And again, I don't mind it. I know a lot of you do. Going forward, the one thing I hope they handle is the hypocrisy of the way Green Arrow is handled. Not just in-show hypocrisy, but the show itself casts a doubt on the fact that Vigilante is wrong for shooting guns, while we watch, well, half the cast shoot guns. Or, I mean, realistically, arrows are pretty deadly too. Hell, fisticuffs are pretty deadly the way they do it. Team Arrow overall is a vigilante team, and somewhere along the line, I want someone to remind them that being a vigilante means you're outside the law. You're already taking the law into your own hands. You're not part of the system. The other thing that kind of bugs me that I hope they work on is, I'm a little sick and tired of Mr. Terrific being the beating boy. You know what? They got to show off how awesome he is with tech by the end of the season, and I realize that Green Arrow is the Batman, so he's way better at physical stuff, but Terrific is still an Olympic caliber athlete. I'd like them to remember that sometime. In the meantime, I do have to say, I like almost every scene with him in it, except for when he's being beat up. Him and Wild Dog do very good together as a comic duo. Maybe that's just Wild Dog, though, because Wild Dog goes good with Quentin in the comic duo as well. Overall, the big questions left, I'm going to ignore the did everyone die, because the answer is no. I mean, spoiler alert, I guess, but that cliffhanger wasn't much of a cliffhanger. We know that they're not killing the whole cast, so unless there's some big resurrection or next season is Arrow Ghost Hunter, it's just not going to happen. We might lose one or two more cast members, but in general, Arrow coming back is going to look a lot like Arrow at the beginning of this season, just with a different slate setup for team. And there's part of me that wishes that people realize that, big shakeups just don't happen all the time like that. And the fact that we just built up this Team Arrow. So this is probably Wild Dog, Terrific, and Canary going to be the team going forward. Spartan and Overwatch, obviously, are always going to be there. They've been there since the first episodes. Now, we also have something else to discuss. The flashbacks. For all intents and purposes, they've caught up. Unless they're going to flash back to Season 1, I guess. They could do that. Since the flashbacks have played an important role since Episode 1 and has been the main thrust of how we push plot points forward in this series, what do you think? Do you think they should be over for this season? Do you think that we should do flashbacks for other characters? We have had a few of those. Or do you think, like I do, that the time of the flashback is over, and for Arrow to move on, it needs to get stronger? Let me know down in the comments what you think. In the meantime, let me tell you a few other things I hope we see going forward. I really want to see Slade Wilson more. Deathstroke was the Terminator when I was reading comic books at first, so the first thing that I learned was that he was a mercenary who was both good and bad depending on the situation, and I'd love to see him come in as a support character every now and again. Besides, Manu Bennett rocks, and we could definitely need to get him some more work. You know what else I'd like to see moving forward? A smaller villain. Although I do have my guess that it's going to be Helix next year. I don't want to see a Prometheus. I don't want to see a Damien Dark. I'd love to see something more along the lines of a series of threats Oliver can't just shoot. But overall, I'm happy with where Arrow is. Arrow started the Berlantiverse and I think is still going strong into Season 6. But let me know what you think overall about the whole season in the comments as well. And maybe sometime over the break we can discuss this more. The pros and the cons on both sides of Arrow. Overall, though, like I said before, I'm going to do a whole crossover video about the Berlantiverse. Specifically, what do you think about Black Lightning? Do you think it's going to use the same tropes we've seen already in the Berlantiverse? We'll go over what I mean by tropes in another video. For now, like and share this video if you've liked my crazy ideas, and of course subscribe if you haven't already. Hit that little bell button and help me build a community, because I'm trying to explore what it means to tell stories, and superhero stories are some of my favorite. If you're interested, you can walk with me through the heart of the stories we tell. Thank you and have a good night.